brief introduction. Again, I lead the pre-sales team for India, and I've been working with the BFSI customers. It's an extreme privilege to be here, connect with you, and share a bit on the Dell data protection strategy. So, like the context is said, we've seen that the digital era has kick-started a lot of innovations, a lot of transformations and disruptions. And in Dell, we see that not just the core, but organizations have transformed at the edge and have kind of embraced a cloud era, a cloud which is on-premise or on hybrid. What we've seen, and it's through our survey, through our technology partners, Vanson Bourne, we've done surveys across how this industry has transformed and where are some of the disruptions happening. The digital era has definitely kick-started an exponential growth in the data, and alongside what has increased is the challenges around it. 66% of the survey nominations covered that data has grown almost 2x, as compared to 2018. We've seen that emerging threats such as the ransomware attacks, cyber attacks, have become more and more mainstream. It's no longer targeted to an individual or a particular industry. It's rampant across. What has also evolved in the way we consume technology, business applications, the way they ran earlier in a data center, in a holistic or a monolithic environment, have transformed to new age workloads. And how they got provisioned, especially during times, I think the FSI industry itself, if you see, was tuned to be working in a very office setup. But this got completely disrupted and got accelerated. I think 2x of acceleration happened, where employees needed to have the same experience, which meant you had to churn out or roll out applications much quickly, and cloud seemed to be the only logical way. So with all of this coming in, the challenges for data protection has also gone multifold. If you see, organizations are no longer restricted to the perimeters of a data center, but need to provide a consistent technology that works across the edge, to the core, and to the cloud. So let me just talk to you a little bit about where Dell comes in. One thing is you have the proven architecture where you have the traditional applications that run in your data center. These applications require resiliency, require efficiency, they require performance, and they require scale. So that when you look at your traditional Unix applications, your monolithic database systems, your mainframe systems, you need to have a data protection architecture that covers all of these aspects. In addition to this, what we've seen is the evolution of a modern era, a modern environment. A modern environment is where you have to host your applications or your data in a multi-cloud environment. You're no longer, as some of these speakers will be speaking throughout the day, on the multiple hyperscalers that are available. Some will talk to you about also the next generation workloads. This is one area where traditional applications just do not make the cut. And across all of this, what's important is how do you automate the data management, the life cycle of the data. Where does it reside? How long does it have to be retained? Where these modern applications need to run. And at the center of it, as we would build a resiliency plan for our business continuity, we also need to have a resiliency plan for a cyber attack. Now, Dell, being the number one vendor for data protection appliances and software, has instrumented 3 I's as a framework, as a model to build resiliency against cyber attacks. The requirements of such an environment would mean that you have an isolated copy of your backup data. Today, if your data center is connected to your DR, there is no way you can ascertain where the breach, what is the extent of the breach. If your primary data center, your data, your workloads get compromised, it's very likely that your compromise can be cascaded to your DR environment or your near DR environment. So how do you ensure that you have a clean recovery copy? In the older times, we would keep a tape media in an offsite location, and you would bring it back should any natural disaster occur. But now, as we live in a connected world, it is important to have a physical isolation of the environment, and not just physically disconnected systems, but having them also logically separating and identifying each data set so that your recovery can be granular. The second is most important element is the immutability. How do I make my copy of my data tamper-proof? Once I have written to it, no external hacker or no insider could go and compromise this or could delete it accidentally. So preserving the original copy of the data is what you need to ensure. Third, and while security is never a 100% plan, you need to have a fail-safe plan. So how do you build intelligence to ensure that you have a clean copy of this data in your vaulted location? So this is the intelligence element. All the three I's are practically important where you want to build resiliency and recoverability from a cyber threat. Now, if you look at the modern landscape, at the lower end of the spectrum, you would see you have traditional workloads. These are high-value workloads, as we would call them. But as you move on, your applications are getting transformed. Some are moving into the SaaS application. I think the most common use cases are the collaboration platforms such as the M365, the Google Suites, and the Salesforce. These are easy to consume SaaS applications. The other area where the businesses have transformed is to use cloud-native applications. Cloud-native environments, if you see, these are not built from the traditional architecture, hence very agile. Now, how do you have a consistent strategy around them? This is where you need to plan and relook at your data protection architecture. Then there are modern applications, which are no longer the traditional database applications. These are new age applications, some very easy to roll out as in fewer CPU cycles. And then building automation through a stack, which is modern environments such as Kubernetes, containers to enable microservices, etc. All of these with the flexibility of running it in a cloud of your choice. It could be any of the hyperscalers where you need to have a protection architecture that's consistent. So with Dell Technologies, what we have done is have a consistent portfolio that allows and supports all the workloads, whether it's the traditional workloads running in your data centers, running at the virtual environments, or the modern applications. Having a consistent technology that can be deployed anywhere. It could be on your edge, it could be in your data center, it could be in the cloud or a private cloud of your choice, and more importantly, how you could consume it. We have devised flexible consumption options for our customers, so there are more than one way to consume this architecture. And lastly, how do you want to choose to deploy this is important. Whether you want to run in a completely software-defined environment, or you want to have performance guaranteed through an appliance architecture, that's all available from the Dell data protection portfolio. So this is the summary of the vision and strategy that Dell has for the modern era. Thank you so much for your time.